Hi guys, what's going on? My name is Zenithan, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. For the upcoming upcoming set. We have new spoilers today for the upcoming set, Forces from Beyond. Big day today. We've got both a new champion, new cards, and a new keyword. So most likely today is going to be a relatively longer than the previous few videos because again, it's a lot of stuff. And I like to try to theory craft with the new cards, just throw out some ideas, spitball some stuff. And I will say this, I'm a little upset that Gwen's not really control oriented, but I like the mechanic, I like the keyword, and I can see a control-y deck idea with her, which I'll mention once we start talking about her. But let's go and look at these new cards because there are quite a few of them, and we also need to talk about the new keyword Hollowed. So here we go, quite a few cards, but as you can see there is a new keyword, a new symbol on these cards. It looks like a needle with thread on it called Hollowed. So what does Hollowed do? Well, I've got this already loaded up and ready to go. From the official Play Runeterra Twitter account, we have their description of Hollowed. So Hollowed says, after I die, for the rest of the game, when you commit an attack, hollow your first attacker, giving it +1/+0 that round. This effect stacks depending on how many hollowed units have died this game. So I've seen some people being confused about this keyword, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really see why it's that confusing. It's a little wordy, I guess, but the way I see it is a hollowed unit dies and you just get a buff that lasts for the rest of the game that basically says every time you attack, your leftmost unit gets +X/+0, where X is equal to however many hollowed units have died. That's it. That's how I see it, and I'm pretty sure it works like that. Like exactly. I don't see any confusion there. As for the keyword, it's a fairly aggressive keyword. Works kind of cute with scout rallies, multiple attacking mechanics like cataclysms and stuff. So immediately I think like, okay, Demacia hollowed. Lucian? A lot of these hollowed units probably want to die because that's how you get your hollowed buffs. And Lucian likes things dying, so Lucian Gwen maybe? Blade Dance? The problem with Blade Dance is Irelia really does not like to be away from Azir, if that makes sense. Like, the second best Irelia deck is probably Misfortune Irelia, and that's not good at all. And honestly, Azir Irelia is not even that good either. But yeah, like, I don't know. I like that Gwen is very reminiscent of Annie, in my opinion. She doesn't seem to like go into any single one deck right away. It seems like she can go into a lot of decks. So that's nice. I feel like she might have some synergy with Evelyn, though. Evelyn kind of also, with her husks, might want things to die. So maybe Evelyn Gwen will be like the pre-built deck that Riot tried to push, but it seems like Gwen can go with a lot of other champions. So that's what Hollowed is. Pretty cool keyword. Very aggressive though, not very control-y at all. So yeah, that's kind of sad. It's not really control-y, but you can put it on like you can put like hollowed buffs on challengers and lifesteal, I guess. So let's go and look at the cards now. So first off, we have Gwen herself. So what is Gwen doing? Gwen is a 4-mana 3/4 with quick attack and hollowed. Gonna be honest with you, kind of disappointed in that just another quick attack champion. It just feels like to me we get so many quick attack champions, and I feel like they might be using quick attack as a crutch when designing champions because, you know, they want to have champions be in combat. People don't want to play champions unless they're, or don't want to attack in with champions unless they're safe. Quick attack helps them do that. So kind of upsetting. Just feels like quick attack's so common among champions, but whatever. What does she actually do though? So when Gwen attacks, she says, When another ally gains power from Hollowed, so do I. Okay, so like I was saying, scouts and multiple attacks, so you can use those multiple attacks either from scouts or blade dances to make a really big Gwen, and then attack in with Gwen. Problem is, she just has quick attack. You can chump her with a 1-1. She also does say, drain 2 from the enemy nexus when she attacks. Okay, and to level up, deal 10 damage. I think this is a really easy level up. Like, I might be overrating how easy it is to level up, but 4 health on a 4-drop is insane amounts of health. It's so easy for her to just get a level up. It's gonna be hard to remove. You're gonna have to use actual hard removal, like Vengeance, maybe Scorched Earth, or Disintegrate, though. Like some premium tier removal here to remove Gwen. And if you want to, you can even be in a region that protects her, like Ionia, Targon, Shurima, etc., etc. Honestly, Shadow Isles can kind of do that a little bit too. But yeah, this is why I think Gwen is such a free level up for Gwen. By herself, literally nothing else on board, just Gwen. That's already half of a level up from an attack. Gwen does 3 damage herself, and then the drain 2. I'm assuming the drain 2 she does is counting towards her level up because it's her who's doing the damage. Now, before you say, okay, but isn't this a similar level up condition to Renekton? Renekton also wants to do a similar thing, right? Yes. Here's the problem. Renekton doesn't have quick attack. Gwen has quick attack. You might say Renekton gets stats when he challenges, though. Yeah, but he's still taking damage. By taking damage from blockers, that sets him up for removal, whether it's in the form of like Mystic Shots, Get Excited, Flocks, buffs on the unit that's blocking Renekton, etc., etc. And that's why I think Gwen's level up is so free, because quick attack makes her really hard to block, especially when she has 4 health, and she'll get really big too in terms of attack thanks to Hollowed. So we pretty much said it. She's really easy to level up. Now here's the thing. For these champions that are really easy to level up, or theoretically easy to level up, what's their level up actually doing? Well, let's check it out. So when Gwen levels up, she gets +1/+1 like most champions. Okay, so she's now a 4-mana 4/5. Good stats for the cost. Still has quick attack, still has Hollowed. Attack when another ally gains power from Hollowed, so do I, so that's still the same. Now, though, the drain is different. So now, when Gwen attacks, she will drain 1 from the enemy nexus 1 time for every 2 power I have. So, interesting. I mean, it's not a... I don't even know if I want to say it, but I was going to say it's not a big increase in power, but that's a huge swing. Like, already draining 2, that's a 4 health swing, because, you know, you drain 2, you deal 2 damage to your opponent, you heal 2, that's a 4 health swing. So let's say, like, I don't know. I also wonder how this is going to, how this will round. Like, let's say if Gwen has 5 attack, does it round up or down? Because like half of 5 is 2.5. Does it round up? Does it round down? I'm gonna assume it's like Commander Ladros. Commander Ladros is pretty much the only other card in the game that has to do with like having numbers. Ladros says like deal half the damage, or basically cut the enemy nexus health in half and round up. So I'm kind of upset they don't say it here on her skill if it rounds up or down. That actually is... It's not important, but it is a little important to know whether it rounds up or down. I will say this, though. It's actually kind of funny that it's a skill. One, not because of Annie, but because your opponent actually gets a priority window to mess with Gwen before her drain goes off. Kind of like Yasuo, right? Like, imagine you attacking with Gwen and she has like 12 attacks, so you're draining 6. Like, that's huge. And then your opponent plays Flash Freeze, so now Gwen has 0. Her ability will go off, she'll see she has 0 power, and she'll drain for 0. I assume it would work like that, right? Just like how if you play like a stun and then your opponent freezes Yasuo, leveled up Yasuo, he will deal no damage. So it's kind of, I'm not saying her leveled up form is worse than her level 1 form. I'm just saying it's kind of funny how that can work. And yes, it is a skill here, as you can see from this, like snip, snip, and then snip, snip, snip. It is funny though how they put a maximum amount though, so I don't know why. I guess maybe when they were testing it broke the game if it was too much. Still kind of wish it said if it rounds up or down, but well, actually the way it's worded, drain 1 from the enemy nexus 1 time for every 2 power. So if you have 5, I assume that means it'll only drain 2, because it doesn't say it drains half as much power. Okay, never mind. So I was misreading that. Okay, never mind. I'm just dumb. It is stated. I'm very dumb. But yeah, I like Gwen. But yeah, I like that she's a skill, or her ability is a skill. It's great for Tibalt. Is Tibalt Gwen like Noxus Shadow Isles good? I don't think so. But maybe like Annie Gwen Hollowed Tempo, perhaps? I'm just not seeing what that's bringing to the table over, say, like TF Annie. Like, TF Annie's a fairly tempo-y deck and finishes off with Riptide Rex. I feel like you're losing the Riptide Rex win con for Gwen? Drains? If you want to go more control-y, I don't think Annie Gwen or Gwen Tibalt is a good control list. I feel like Senna Noxus Shadow Isles is already a control deck, and it's just better than anything you could do with Gwen. Maybe Senna Gwen control with like some of the hollowed units, and maybe with, I'm trying to think, like the hollowed units maybe with catalog as well, and then you can play conservatory. Conservatory can buff up these skills, so Snip Snip does 2. Actually kind of curious how Tibalt will work with the leveled up version of Snip Snip, Snip Snip Snip. Like, will, like, okay, here, let's read this and try to theory craft how it works with Tibalt. Drain 1 from the enemy nexus 1 time for every 2 power. So does that mean it will say, like, drain 2 from the enemy nexus 1 time for every 2 power? If you've played 1 Tibalt? That's how I kind of think it works. Or will it just calculate all the drain damage and then just tack on +1 at the end because of Tibalt? I don't know. I feel like that's actually a very big interaction that I'll need to figure out how it works to determine whether I like Gwen Tibalt or not, Gwen Shadow Isles. And her champion spell. What is her champion spell? Thread the Needle. 3 mana fast speed spell. Kill an ally to deal damage equal to its power to an enemy. Okay, so it's atrocity that can only hit enemy stuff. First off, I really like that it says just to an enemy. Doesn't have a limit on what it can hit. So in other words, it can hit champions. That's huge that it can hit champions. You know what I'm thinking right now because of this card? I am going back now to the Gwen Tibalt deck. I am thinking now, okay, Gwen, Senna, Tibalt, maybe some catalogs if I need even more late game. Minion plus Thread the Needle. I love my minions in Tibalt because if you don't know, Tibalt buffs all your units, so that means after the first Tibalt, your minions are 3/1, so that's nice that they can block Fearsome. And, you know, your opponent kills it, it comes back the next turn, and you just keep replaying it, and you just get so much value from minion. How many minions would I play? Maybe 2. Maybe even some Camavoran dragons. I don't know. I'm brainstorming with this deck. My brain's firing off right now to try and make a more control-y version of Gwen. I feel like a lot of other people are just going for the more mid-rangey, tempo-y theory crafting. Like, okay, let's be boring here for a second. Okay, what likes to get buffs? So, like, basically we're looking at Hollowed here. Challengers. Okay, Gwen Braum. Problem is that Shadow Isles Freljord. Shadow Isles Freljord outside of controls is kind of meh. Flame Chompers? Honestly, Gwen Flame Chompers is probably the way to go. Shadow Isles PNZ, Flame Chompers getting hollow buffs is actually really strong. But I feel like you'd rather, if you're trying to do some Chompers nonsense, you'd rather just be in Targon instead of Shadow Isles, so you get Winding Light. What else likes power buffs and no health? Power buffs without health buffs. Overwhelm? Renekton? It's fine. Like Shurima stuff, so like Kaisa with her Supercharge. I mean, you could just play Supercharge in general, so yeah, like those are the more boring mid-rangey ways to make Gwen work, but I'm going for more grindy, control-y ways, or at least grindy mid-range ways. And I think there might be something here. Like, Gwen is obviously not meant to be purely for control, if at all. She's definitely meant to be like a more mid-rangey champion. But I see Drain, I see like health gain, basically. I already immediately start thinking of control. I see a champ spell that's powerful and is removal. I also start thinking of control. So, I don't know, maybe some kind of like weird tap out control instead of draw go control, where you just, you know, play efficiently per turn, maybe bank some mana here and there because, you know, spell mana, and just top out at Ladros. Do we play Go Hard? I don't think we would play Go Hard here. We would need a win con. How do we actually win the game in like a Shadow Isles whatever Gwen control deck? I mean, it's like Ladros is always there, but I really don't like Ladros. The other deck I'm thinking of right now is Viego. And not because, you know, Gwen Viego lore reasons, but that's kind of cute, and I really hope there's some voice line interactions between the two, but Viego's strongest deck, arguably strongest deck, is Viego Shurima. Mono Viego Shurima. So there's a champion slot open in that Viego deck. Gwen actually doesn't make you have to remove Shurima because you're Shadow Isles Shurima. Just change up the unit base to have some of these hollowed units. Hollowed buffs your units to make them bigger, so then they die. When they do die, they're fueling the Viego level up even more. Gwen's actually a solid alternate win con too, which that deck also does struggle if it loses all three of its Viegos. So now you have both Viego and the Hydravine as win cons, and Gwen as well as a win con. So that's kind of cute. So you can still play, so you would play like 3 Hydravine, 3 Viego, 3 Gwen. Probably do some math to figure out how many hollowed units you would want. And then you play the standard Shurima protection suite of like Hourglasses and Rite of Negations, maybe some Quicksands depending on the meta. You get some solid removal thanks to Thread the Needle on all the mists. You get Vengeances, Vile Feast. I really like this idea. You get Glimpses as well. So I think there might be a deck there with I think Gwen Viego basically updating the Mono Viego list will be a strong deck. Definitely a deck I'll try out here. Now let's look at the other cards though, because we're already talking about theory crafting with just Gwen. We need to see her units, her followers, see if they're worthy of being played, because we kind of have to play them if we're playing Hollowed. So the first one, Boisterous Host. He's simple. Nothing special here. He's just a 1-mana 2/1 with Hollowed. I feel like you will have to play him and these other Hollowed units because you just want to increase your Hollowed counter. Thankfully, he's a 2/1 and not a 1/2, so he will trade well. Kind of sad he dies to pings, but he is a 1-drop. You can't expect too much from a 1-drop. So again, not much to talk about with this guy. You're just going to play him as like 2 to 3 of. He's your anti-aggro card. He's going to just try to trade with a 1 or a 2-drop, and that's it. Just here to increase your hollowed count. That's all. And I guess you could argue like in the late game, he's not that bad because he can take the hollowed buff well and get relatively big. The sad thing about hollowed though is it's only working on offense, so it's kind of bad defensively. This card though, this card whose art I love, probably my favorite art of all the cards in the game, because this Eternal Dancers is kind of waifu, not gonna lie. The card though, how is the card? 6 mana 3/6 Eternal Dancers with Hollowed. Okay. Attack. Revive an attacking ephemeral copy of the strongest dead ally other than Eternal Dancers with my power or less. So with the way it's worded, I think it hits champions? I'm just gonna run off the assumption it hits champions too. So first off, I assume hollowed buffs would happen first, and then this card's ability goes off. So you could technically put this card on the left side to buff it. So that's kind of cute. You know who has 3 or less? Like, it is equal to, right? With my power or less. Yeah. You know who also has 3 power? Anivia. Do we play this with Anivia? Honestly, maybe. But then do we want to play Anivia? Probably not, because Anivia's trash. But yeah, I like this card. I really like this card. Feels a little too slow, sadly. Like, the meta in this game is so fast right now. If they slowed down the game by like a turn or 2 on average, I can see this gets a lot of value. Maybe brings back more hollowed units to increase your hollowed counter. Has a relatively high health pool too, so it probably can survive the first swing and swing again. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this card. I like this card, but definitely not a 3 of, maybe like a 2 of in hollow decks. Maybe even a 0 of, depends on what you want to do. I don't know. It feels weird. It's like, I don't know if tempo decks want this or control decks, but I feel like there's something you can do with this card. I just don't know what it is. Like the worst thing the best thing I can think of is, the most broken thing I can think of is reviving Anivia. And probably the problem with that is Anivia's trash. But yeah, there has to be something in the game that has a strong like summon ability that can come back with Eternal Dancers depending on buffs and stuff. And our next card, just another plain hollowed unit. Ghostly Paramore. Seems to be based on Viego pre-Ruination, I think. I mean, he looks very Viego-like. Fairly simple card here. 4 mana, 3/3, lifesteal hollowed, nothing crazy. I mean, I feel like you're just going to play this card. This is going to be a meta-dependent card, kind of like a Solari Sunforger. I think the 4 mana, 5/4 Daybreak, get lifesteal for the turn guy. So yeah, like if you really need the life gain, you play this guy. The problem is you're in Shadow Isles. You're not wanting for life gain in Shadow Isles, which means things like Withering Mist, Withering Wail, Go Hard, Vile Feast. If you even want Grasp as well, you should have enough life gain. But it is hollowed. It can be a huge health swing too if you put this on the left so it gets the hollow buff when it attacks. I'm just a little worried at seeing 3 health. Like, whenever I see 3 health on a 4-drop, I'm just so worried. I'm like, whatever. I guess the good news is if it does die, it does buff up your hollowed count. The other reason I'm not too big of a fan of this card is Gwen also heals too because of her drain, so I don't know. Like, this guy is not attacking multiple times. I will say that much, definitely. He attacks in once at most, he trades for a 2-drop, and then he dies. That's it. That's like the best case scenario, I feel. The most likely best case scenario. I feel like a lot of the time he's just gonna, against decks that care about life gain, he's gonna get ghost blocked and your opponent's gonna use like a removal spell like Noxian Fervor to remove the blocker so you don't actually drain and get any life gain. Or they just remove it, like decks with actual removal or remove it, because again, 3 health is not much health. I really wish they would be a little more aggressive and push lifesteal a little bit more, but I know why they don't want to push lifesteal too more. They don't want games to drag on too long. What's our next card? Okay, this card I actually kind of like. So, Conductor of the Mist. 3 mana, 4/2, hollowed. Last breath, create a Ghastly Band in hand. Ghastly Band is a 1-mana, 2/1 ephemeral hollowed. I like it. I don't like the stat line that much. I'd rather it be a 3/3 for 3. So, you know, it doesn't die to Mystic Shots and Avalanches and Ravines, but it's solid for the stat line. Reminds me kind of Scales of the Dragon from Ionia, the 3-mana 4/2 guy who creates the Dragon's Protection, I think is the name of the card. The 2-mana focus speed spell, give a unit +0/+3. I think that's the spell. I play it a lot because I try to play Lux Karma, and I use that card with try to use that card in combination with Broadwing. Doesn't really work that well. But I like this card. It gives you a little bit of value. Sadly, he has to die first for you to get the Ghoulish Band, which is kind of meh. If he gave you the band right away when you summoned him, would that be that OP? I honestly don't think so, but it feels like they made it a last breath to keep it from being too aggressive, because it definitely, in my opinion, would be much, much better if it gave you the Ghoulish Band right away. But I don't think it would even be that busted if it did that. But yeah, I like this card. It's basically 2 hollowed buffs for 1 card. 3-mana 4/2 is a solid stat line. Ghoulish Band is an okay card by itself. It's mostly just going to be here as a blocker / attacker. Basically just used to increase hollowed. Maybe get a little bit of chip damage in, or block some unit and trade, or prevent your opponent from attacking. So I like the card, and I like Ghoulish Band. Now, the last couple of cards. First off, Strike Up the Band. 3-mana, slow speed spell, summon 2 Ghoulish Bands. We already know what the Ghoulish Bands do. Now, this card, on the other hand, I'm not so sure about. You're getting 2 cards, 2 units, in 1 priority window. That's nice. That's one of the reasons why things like House Spider and Mirai Warden are so solid, because of that. Is this card good? I honestly don't know. Like, I'm having a hard time evaluating this card. Like, it's 3 mana to give you +2 hollowed. I really just can't evaluate this card too well. Like, I don't really want to play it in my deck. This feels like this card feels like filler. That's how I'm going to describe it as. It feels like a card you put in your hollowed Gwen decks, and then you eventually are like, okay, I don't need this many hollowed. After you're like starting to refine the deck, let's cut like the worst card of the deck, and this is the card that gets cut, I feel, a lot of the time. So that's how I look at this deck. I don't know. I just don't like slow spells. And it's not really, I don't know. If it was like, if the second card was not also a Ghoulish Band and just something else that was not ephemeral, maybe I'd like it a little bit more, but I don't know. Just 2 ephemeral units for 3 mana just doesn't feel good. But again, I might be underestimating just how good +2 to the hollowed count is. So yeah, maybe. And then we already saw Ghoulish Band. Our 2-mana boy, Phantom Butler, the big boy, and he is a big boy in his artwork. And the card himself, he's actually kind of small. 2-mana 3/1 Fearsome, hollowed. Is this card good? I don't know. I really don't like 2-drops that die to pings, especially because pings are relatively common between Pokestick, Make It Rain, Vile Feast, etc., etc. So it's Arachnoid Horror? I think that's the name of the card. The 2-mana 3/2. That is a spider, and it has Fearsome. It's also in Shadow Isles. So, and that card's not really played. So it comes down to, is hollowed worth 1 health? Yes, I think. I don't know. My initial impression is, you're not playing this card because you want a 2-mana 3/1 Fearsome. You're playing this card because you want more hollowed counters. You want more ways to increase the hollowed count. And this guy is fine as just another way to increase it. He blocks decently well, and he attacks in kind of well thanks to Fearsome. I don't know. But yeah, like we've seen, like 3/1s are okay. Very, very rarely do 3/1s get played, though, if they don't do anything right away or something when they die. He does kind of do something when they die, but like, look at the 3/1s that see play right now for 2 mana. Boom Baboon. I think that's it, in all honesty, for 2 mana 3/1s. In fact, like, you can actually see in the history of the game the difference between 1 and 2 health in the form of a 2-drop. Mountain Goat. Mountain Goat actually used to be a 2-mana 3/1. Never saw play. No one even knew what the card Mountain Goat was. And then they buffed Mountain Goat to be a 3/2 like it is today. And, you know, it's a solid staple of Target decks when you're just looking for a solid 2-drop. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it does want to die, but I kind of just wish it had 1 more health. I know the spider tag from Arachnoid Horror is not that worthy or worth much, but come on, make him a 3/2. I don't know. I don't want my 2-drop to die to a ping, but maybe I'm overreacting to 1 health. And then our last card, second to last card is a token, Formal Invitation. Now this card is interesting. 3-mana burst speed spell. Create copies in hand of 2 allied followers that have died this game. Here's the biggest problem I'm seeing right away with the card. You're in Shadow Isles. Shadow Isles decks love Vile Feast. Are you really going to play this card and risk drawing the 1/1 spider that died from your Vile Feast? Because it's definitely going to die. I don't know. I might. So here's what I'm thinking. There's a couple of decks I'm thinking of with this deck, there are 3 decks that I have in mind when I think of this card. 4, I guess, if we want to include just Gwen piles, but I'm not thinking about Gwen piles with this card. 1 is Darkness. Use this card and hope to find more Darkness creators. Or, maybe like Robe Maker to discount your Darkness some more. It's kind of cute. Number 2, Viego Shurima. So, you know, that Gwen Viego Shurima deck I was thinking to try and draw more Encroaching Mists, or maybe another Camavoran Soldier or something, or I don't know, something like that. And then the third deck I'm thinking of is Shellfolk. Shellfolk, use this to bring back things like Conchologist, Otterpuss. Seems solid. And the reason I like this card is, when I look at this card, in plain form, I look at this card and I just say, I see 3 mana, draw 2 cards. That's how I look at this card right away, just in its plainest form. I like that. I like 3 mana, draw 2. I'm a big fan of 3 mana, draw 2. Hidden Pathways, the Vandal City draw, used to be a, well, it was a 5-drop that got discounted to 3, and then they increased its mana cost by 1. And pretty much all Vandal City decks played at least 2 of those cards. So, I don't know. I feel like it has a powerful effect to it. The problem is, it's a little RNG, and you're in Shadow Isles, and Shadow Isles has Vile Feast, aka Spiderling, so that might be a little problematic. But I don't know. I like the idea of this card. It looks cute, it looks cool, but I think the RNG might keep it from seeing too much top level play. Pretty good card to get off of Conchologist too, in fact, actually. And now our final card, which is pretty much a token. Yeah, excuse me. Got the hiccups now. But a token is our last card. Another Husk from Evelyn, most likely. We got Haunted Husk, the Shadow Isles Husk. It has Fearsome, like I think I predicted in one of my previous videos. So, pretty nice. So we still don't have Overwhelm from the Husks, no Lifesteal from the Husks. I feel like Lifesteal is just not going to be existent from the Husks. I think Shadow Isles might have been the last most likely chance for a Husk to have Lifesteal. I doubt they're going to give it to PNZ or anything. So yeah. So Gwen and Hollowed. Very interesting mechanic. Seems pretty cool. Very unique mechanic too. Very fun. Looks... I will say this, compared to Kaisa, Gwen does actually make me want to play the expansion some more, at least more than Kaisa. I hope Evelyn's just as fun, if not more so, and more hype-inducing than Gwen. But yeah, I like Gwen because she's already in Shadow Isles. Shadow Isles has a lot of various control decks they can try to build, and Gwen seems to go with a few of them thanks to her Drain for helping you to stabilize, and her, what I think is a strong champion spell. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your opinion on Gwen below and Hollowed. Do you guys have any ideas for decks as well for Gwen? Like I've already mentioned, like Gwen Chompers, Gwen Braum, Gwen Lucian. Various Gwen control decks, Gwen Viego, maybe Gwen Shellfolk. Gwen like Blade Dance. But I'd like to hear your ideas down below. I might be missing one that's kind of obvious that I can't think about. But I guess you could also like Gwen Scouts, like Demacia Gwen. Basically take Scouts, remove Misfortune and Bilgewater, and just be like Quinn Gwen. Doesn't seem that good, but maybe. You get hollowed multiple times a turn thanks to Scout, so maybe that's something. But yeah, I'd love to hear your ideas down in the comments below. And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I would love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below as well. Always helps me and the channel out, of course. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zenaton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye.